Hi, I'm Chelsea Husum, your host of the Lip Service and Lashes podcast. I'm an entrepreneur, author, speaker, and mom of two. And I'm so tired of women not feeling like they can show up as fully expressed versions of themselves. So here, we're all about that unapologetically, because honestly, we don't have time not to. Literally, because we're busy as F moms and entrepreneurs, but also figuratively, because we don't know how much time we have on this planet, and we want to make an impact now. But if we're doing this, we're making it real vibes only. So let's get inspired, laugh our asses off, quite possibly cry, and feel like you're sitting on the couch with your bestie and a glass of wine. I'm so happy you're here. Let's dive in. Hello, everyone, and welcome to another Lip Service and Lashes podcast. I'm your host, Chelsea Husum. I'm so glad you're here. Today, I have Katherine Rose Woller with me. Katherine is a marketing strategist turned best-selling author. From art gallerina to ski industry professional to marketing executive and now author, Woller has forever remained focused on the unifying power of storytelling. In her debut memoir, Calling It Off, an almost bride herself, she uses hard-fought growth, honest reflection, and ultimately flawed human experience to highlight the realities of what it's like to not just call off a wedding, but to choose yourself when you've reached a daunting crossroads. By sharing her transformative journey through the fire of a failed engagement and back, she draws on the relatable yet profoundly stigmatized reality of walking away from what's expected for you. Her story, told with wit and grit, shows the importance of trusting your gut, stepping through fear, and living authentically for you. Katherine, that's amazing. Welcome.
Thank you so much. Excited to be here.
Yes. Well, so excited to have you. Okay, so let's just jump right in. Tell us, I know there's a whole story leading up to your book, but can you tell us what happened and what ultimately made you write this book about this experience in your life?
So, the book is called Calling It Off, Memoir of an Almost Bride, and it is exactly that. It is a honest and vulnerable conversation and account of the period of my life from the time that I got engaged to someone who was ultimately not meant to be my husband, through the process of realizing the decision I needed to make in calling off the wedding, then the healing and the uncoupling and the growth of that fairly tumultuous period, ultimately leading to re-entering the relationship arena and meeting my now husband. So it is a very focused timeline with a lot of really like a chat with a girlfriend,
Mhm.
conversation and storytelling, and ultimately insight, and perspective to just encourage hope and empowerment and self-trust for anyone who's going through a life-altering situation and like making a big change.
Yeah, I mean, and were you did you grow up the good girl, people pleaser?
Yes, I am the oldest of four girls.
Okay, so
So
yes, totally.
very, very achievement focused, type A perfectionist.
Mhm.
So calling off a wedding was, the opposite of perfection, and that was a big piece of coming to terms with that.
Yeah. So what was going like what ultimately did you feel or think when you was there a moment that you remember that you're like, this, I have to do this as much as I don't want to, it's going to be so difficult, so hard. Was there a moment or how did you make that really tough decision?
So there were a lot of small doubts and small moments that I ignored or quieted and just dismissed and brushed aside, leading up to and accumulating into this one deep gut feeling to, yes, ultimately there was a moment where I had to make that decision. And it was ironically my last wedding dress fitting. So my final fitting 2 weeks before the wedding. And, I was standing there in a beautiful dress, a dress that in a lot of ways really wasn't me and really symbolized kind of this facade of the perfect relationship, the perfect marriage that we were trying to portray. And I really had this moment where I was just looking at the person in the mirror and was like, this isn't me. This is not my life. This is not my dress, but more than that, like, this is not what I want for my future. And just finally acknowledging, the voice inside that had been saying for 11 and a half months that this was the wrong thing, and finally having the courage and the need to listen. Like, it got so big that I couldn't not listen anymore. And that need outweighed the fear, finally,
Mm.
for me.
Oh, now how did your family take it?
Thought, and one of the pieces that kind of stopped me from making the decision for so long was I thought they were going to be disappointed. I thought they would be mad. I thought they would, be ashamed of me, which none of that was the case. They met me with ultimate grace and compassion and were even proud of my willingness to make a really hard choice. I mean, listen, it's still a lot of wasted funds. A wedding, no matter what size or scale, you put a lot of
Yeah,
time and effort and money into it. And so that was obviously a consideration, but that was not the most important factor. Me and my happiness was. And so I was blown away with the grace that not only my family, but my friends and even the family of my ex-fiance granted me.
really.
Um,
That's awesome.
and that was a beautiful outcome of it all, to see the really positive reaction and the positive changes in my relationships. I mean, that's a really honest moment to say, hey, I made a mistake. I
Yeah,
don't want to do this. And it led to a lot more honest conversations on the other side for the last however many years as well. Like, it's just a more open two-way street with so many of my friends and family.
wow, that's really powerful because it's a lot of times we think how people are going to react in our head, right? And that creates such even more fear than we maybe need for these tough decisions. But that's really beautiful that even like his family was kind to you overall. You know what I mean? They could
Mhm.
just freak out and be really nasty, but that's amazing and that it did turn out better than it could have for sure.
Yeah, and of course there were hard moments and hard
Yeah.
conversations, and not everything was peachy.
Mhm.
But on the whole, you know, it was not as hard as I expected it to be, and I mean, it was crushing.
For sure, for
But
sure.
but it got better faster, and my fear was so much greater than the reality.
Mm. Well, that's good. Yeah, of course, it's a breakup in general is always crushing, let alone this is the person you were going to marry. Like, absolutely. You're grieving a lot of things there for sure.
Grieving your relationship, your future, your
Yeah,
family, the family you thought you were marrying into. I mean, it's you lose a lot, but you and I gained so much more respect and trust and love for myself. So I gained so much more than I lost.
for sure. And I like what you said, yes, there was money wasted, the money you couldn't get back, but ultimately you came out happy and doing what aligned with your soul. So who gives a shit about the money, right? Yes, it sucks, but like
Mhm.
ultimately you made the decision for your happiness, which is so
Mhm.
much greater, right?
And I think people could see that, and on some level it was the choice for me and my then partner. Like, he has ended up in a beautiful, happy space as well.
Good,
And
good.
so, like, it wasn't meant for me. It was not meant for him either.
I love that. And so now you're a mother.
I am.
Tell us about your daughter. And are you remarried?
Well, technically it's not remarried since I never made it down the
Or
aisle the first time, but I
yes,
am married
you're
now.
married. I'm sorry. Not
No,
remarried.
I am married. Oh gosh, I have no memory. 2+ years now.
Yeah.
We have a beautiful daughter. She's almost 16 months old, and all the chaos that brings with
Oh, yeah.
it.
Oh yeah. Well, she's adorable. And we were just talking before we hit record. They were just in Europe and I was like
Mhm.
living vicariously through you guys and your sweet baby girl, Rose, you said. And yeah, she's just adorable. So congratulations. And yes, that was a decision you had to make and come out And now look what you have in your life. It's amazing.
Yeah, I think, I was one of the reasons I think I ended up where I was in a relationship that wasn't for me was I really always wanted a family and I wanted that stability and that partnership and I wanted kids. And when I was almost married, I was 32 at the time. I was so worried that if I, walked away, I might never have biological kids of my own. Almost never mind the fact that it would have been in the wrong relationship and therefore like so many problems in that way too. But I had to let go of that fear and really grieve the fact that I might never have biological kids. But like, is that worth sacrificing for my own happiness? No. But by letting go, I actually opened the door for it to come in anyway. And so it's really, I think, beautiful how that trust and surrender ultimately led me to motherhood in a different way than I expected and in a different timeline, but so perfect.
Well, that's so beautiful. Yeah, it is. And I think I want to hear your thoughts on, like young girls growing up today. I see, this Instagram, well, Instagram in general is like perfect and all this ridiculousness. And it's really hard, I think, to be a young girl today, right? And they see, oh, they have the ring and they're doing a bridal shower and a bachelorette party and the shopping for the dress and all they like glamorize all of this and they glamorize marriage. What are your thoughts of, and they're not like understanding the reality of what a marriage is. It's just this like
Mhm.
shiny thought. What are your thoughts on that? Because it just like it scares me for young girls.
Yeah. I mean, I will say I did the same thing, right? When I was in this wrong relationship, I was distracting myself with
All the stuff.
planning and portraying this perfect image, the perfect proposal, perfect ring, big, flashy, perfect wedding. And it was all a distraction, it was all a band-aid. And it wasn't what mattered. Like I was so focused on a wedding that I forgot about the deep commitment and foundation and, you know, powerful rock that can be built for the marriage.
For
And I
sure.
think it's such a different thing. A wedding is not a marriage.
Oh
And
yeah.
and interestingly, when I was married to my now husband, we planned a wildly different wedding than I had planned the first time around that was focused on family and love and togetherness. And it was small and it was intimate. And it was such a more honest reflection of who we were as a couple and what we valued. And think that was an interesting contrast for me to see was when I had done it inauthentically the first time compared to when I did it as like my whole true self the second time. And I was way happier like,
Yeah. And you're like, thank
throughout
God
that
that this came
process.
about, right? Yeah.
Yeah, I was
Oh, I
way
love
less
that.
stressed.
Yeah, and you're like, "This is actually amazing and beautiful and powerful," right? Well,
Hmm.
and like, I wonder with that, like I said, the shiny engagement and keeping ourselves busy, right? Us as women, we like do to like distract us maybe from the truth, right? But maybe I worry some, people might overlook red flags or not be with the right partner but they keep just kind of like brushing it off because they want that idea of marriage so bad. Right. And it's this weird thing that I don't know.
I think it's that trying to achieve perfection of whatever society has told us perfection looks like, and I think that's slightly different for every person, but releasing that is really the first step in taking the more aligned action and releasing the comparison and just stop letting it steal your joy.
Oh, yeah.
And leaning in to the truth of it and the meaning of it. I mean, if we can stop focusing on the perfect picture and start focusing on the meaning, um, I think it leads to so much more happiness.
I totally agree. All right. So, what do you say to the talking about perfection? I love
Mhm.
talking about this. What do you say to the woman who's afraid if she lets go of perfection, she'll fall apart or fall behind, or people will judge her?
I You can't let in the light or let out the light. You can't shine your light unless there's a crack, right? So we have to let those cracks, let the light out, and let the world see the beautiful in perfection. And I think that's where the opportunity is. People don't connect with perfect. People connect with vulnerability. People connect with imperfection, with mess, with chaos.
Yes.
As much as we may not love it, that's the humanness of it all. And that's where we really build relationship and community, woman to woman, woman to child. I mean, that is where the realness is. And so if the goal is genuine connection and genuine happiness and authenticity, then imperfection is the tool, really. And
Hmm.
so I think that if we can lean into that and let the rest go, it ends up in a much more easeful and peaceful place.
I totally agree. I feel like it's kind of my new soapbox to be on, to be like, stop trying to be perfect. Again, like when my book came out, it's like, hi world, I'm a hot mess. I got all kinds of crazy stuff. And finally, and I'd love to hear this from you too, but like, it's like I finally stepped out in the world, the good, the bad, the ugly. I can't hide anymore. It's freeing.
Completely.
Yeah.
I mean, it's not exactly fun to air your dirty laundry. I mean, telling the story of how I called off my wedding and how I showed up very imperfectly in those months leading up as well. I mean, that is a huge part of it. But being honest about that has led to so many more meaningful conversations with people I knew prior and people I never met. And that has brought so much more joy into my life and so much more freedom to just be me and enjoy what I'm doing and having just less give a shits
Yes. Yeah.
about
You just
what
show
people
up
may
like
say back.
cracked open. You're like,
Yeah.
I'm cracked open. This is like my fully authentic version of myself. Take it or leave it. Right. And we're
Hmm.
like, okay, if you don't like me, whatever. I don't care at this point. Right. You're not my
And
people.
you have a lot more time. Like I have more time to do the
Yeah.
things that I love rather than worrying about how that's being received.
Totally. I love that. Okay. So what are your favorite parts about being a mother and what are some of the toughest? Because we all know it's not an easy job, but it's the best job ever.
I My favorite parts are seeing the world through new eyes and with new appreciation of the most simplistic things, like watching her learn and be curious and then be proud is the coolest moment to watch her figure something out and be so proud is just like, oh, it can make me cry. Like it just
It is
fills
amazing.
my heart. And then most difficult parts, I think, are, I think we all reach our limit in some moments and our capacity. And I think the most difficult parts is when that happens, when I show up in maybe my not best way. I think that is really hard to kind of remain fallible, even when you want to be the quote unquote, again, perfect parent. I mean, recognizing those moments where maybe we fall short, but then using them positively. I mean, she's only 16 months old, but still, like, there are moments when I'm like, ooh, I could show up better than this. And that's hard.
For sure. And I mean, my boys are 8 and 12, and I still like we're never going to be perfect, but
Mm-mm.
because we love them so much and we care, we're trying. We could be parents that don't give a shit and don't care. Right. And I've had some people tell me like, it's so hard because we care so much.
Exactly.
Yeah. And we want to
Exactly.
get better every day. And like, kind of messed that up. I didn't do too well, but mental note, I'm going to do better
Yeah.
tomorrow. Right.
And that is so hard. And, even that little tiny nugget gives grace, and that's really cool to see.
Yeah,
There's
it
still
is.
so much love and grace there, and you're like, "Oh, let me give that to myself." Like, if you
Mm-hmm.
can see me like that, even as little you, like, how
Yeah,
cool is
right.
that?
Oh, well, and I found too, as like for when my kids got older, I kind of lose it less than there was a real tough part when my one son was younger. But now it's like if I do something and I'm like I wasn't proud of what I said or what I did, whatever, I call them over and I say, you know what, guys, like mom said, I shouldn't have said that. I'm really sorry. I didn't mean it or whatever it was. And I say, I was having a really rough day and I was stressed out and I took it out on you and I apologize. Like, I'm not perfect. So I'm trying, right, to, as they get
Mhm.
older, then you can kind of, they're not watching you as much right now as your daughter is. Now you're like talking to them about your feelings and about how we mess up, right?
Mhm. But what a cool opportunity, you know? I mean,
Yeah.
again, that moment like lets you shine a light and them to see that light in you too, that beautiful humanness. So I think it's really cool.
Well, yeah. And like our kids need to grow up knowing we're not perfect, nor are we trying to be. And we all make mistakes. And when we do, we can own it and apologize and like learn from it, right? I mean, ultimately we have to show them that.
Absolutely. I mean, it's our job.
Yeah,
It,
literally our job.
it's our actual job.
Okay, so how do you fill yourself up? You're doing all these things, but how, as a woman, do you focus on joy, peace, protect your energy, your time, all of that?
I mean, I'm a better person, a better wife, and a better mom when I am like the best Catherine. And there's no doubt in that. Um, for me, that is time in the morning. That is a daily or not necessarily every day, but most day, like a movement practice that I'm really dedicated to. It is eating well. I mean, all of those things are how I show up feeling good and having the mental energy, even more than the physical energy,
Oh
to
yeah.
do the hard work of the day.
Oh yeah.
You know, for me, that's meditation. Call it cheesy or not. I journal every morning. I make time for creative writing. I love to write. It's where I feel my flow. So I make time in the day for that, even if it's just 45 minutes during a nap. Like, how can I fit in the small pieces that bring me joy and that are essentially free? Um, I think that's a really big piece of it. I mean, yeah, I love a massage, but I don't have the time in any given day to do that. But I can take a walk and I can listen to some great music and dance like an idiot around the kitchen. And I
Hmm.
can have a really beautiful cup of coffee while I journal with a candle. And all of that is free and a priority. Like, I make time for it every day.
I love that. And it is true, no one's gonna be like, hey, lady, do you want to take a few hours off today? Or, do you want me to do all your to-do list? No, we ultimately have to do that for ourselves or it's not going to happen. And I
Hmm.
think, I hope, I mean, I'm sure there's still people out there thinking like, you're selfish if you do that or if you put yourself first, but like, no, at this point,
I
we're past
mean,
that, I hope.
and you know, I'm a my current career is as a full-time writer and mom, and we're really lucky to have some childcare help in the morning, several days a week. You know, the number one thing that I do during that time is like I go for a workout and then I write and I work, and it's only a few hours. But yes, some of that time is spent just so that I can move my body because that is how I move energy. That is how I process stress. Everyone in my family knows if I don't get something, like, I'm just not the best version of me. And so, yeah, occasionally you get somebody else in a class like, oh, do you have a babysitter for this? And I'm like, yes, I do. And I
But
am
yeah.
right here next to you, and I am happy with that. So, I mean, I don't think there's as much of that, but if there is, I'm not listening to it.
Yeah, I guarantee there's the people out there, but we don't even like we're at the point we don't engage with those people. We're like, whatever. I
Hmm.
don't care what if they're like negative or if you really truly don't know that how important that is, like, sorry, there's no helping you.
And I do think it's different for everyone.
Yeah.
So maybe you just don't know my vibe, and that's okay.
Yes, and I'm going to keep my vibe away from your vibe, and we're going to
Hmm.
go our separate ways.
Exactly.
Oh, so are you working on new books or what are your plans with your writing? Do you have any new books in mind or anything else?
Yeah. So, well, currently, this book, just finished recording the audiobook, is
Oh,
coming out this
congrats.
summer. So that is exciting. So this book continues, Calling It Off
Yes.
continues. And then, yeah, writing a lot of short format essays at the moment, but in service of kind of finding that next space for book number two. I love the power of having vulnerable conversations. It's the reason I wrote this book in the first place. I didn't see the resources or the conversation that I needed when I was
Hmm.
going through this. So I wrote it from a very honest, upfront, approachable, and digestible place, not overly academic, but just an experience and a reflection. And for me now, that looks like motherhood and more mature relationships and kind of this phase. And so I like to write what I know and what I'm experiencing. So for me right now, that's the early and challenging phases of motherhood. So we'll see where that takes us, but I feel like there's another book in there somewhere.
Well, I'm sure there is. I'm sure there is. And just like we were talking about, stop being the good girl, people pleaser, perfectionist as a woman, I think also what are your thoughts on finding those fellow moms that kind of have the same vibe as you do and aren't trying to be the perfect moms that are it's fake and they're crying themselves to sleep at night. You know what I mean? Like you're finding your tribe.
Yeah, you are. And I think that takes a little bit of time because I think first you have to realize, well,
What kind of
you
mom are
first have a
you?
kid, you're a different human entirely. Like
Oh, for
I
sure.
am no longer maiden Catherine, like I am
Mhm.
mom Catherine. And that is the same, but very different. And so figuring out my own vibe I'm still figuring it out, but I'm naturally kind of connecting with moms in the same sphere, same ethos. Eventually Rose will go to, Montessori school, and that will bring with it its own circle of folks. But finding moms in the neighborhood that I just happen to connect with or at the park, it's mom dating, right? Like I love mom
It's
dating.
totally dating. Yeah, it's adult
Dating at the
dating.
park is the best. Like I just had coffee with a mom I met at the park this past weekend, and
Oh,
we're
awesome.
like, yeah, let's
Hang
get
out.
together. And it went well. So,
Good. You're like, this might be a
I'm
thing.
hopeful. Um, but
Oh, I
it's so
love that.
important. You have to put yourself out there and be vulnerable in the same way that you are in like dating.
Yeah,
Because
totally.
otherwise, you'll put all this time and effort into a mom friendship that ultimately you're like, you put on the wrong version of you. So you might as well just show up as like the chaotic you,
Oh,
and
yeah.
then you vibe or not.
Yeah. You're like, this is crazy me. My husband
Huh?
and I, like, literally years ago, my son was probably one. We were at our pool and we were stalking this couple who looked nice. They had a son about the same age. And my husband's like, go talk to them. Go talk to them. And I'm like, oh my God, we're ridiculous. And then we did, and it was awkward, but we ended up becoming great friends with them. And then they moved and left us. But in the time they
That's
lived here, like
disappointing.
we're literally like date. He's like, we're dating couples in our new town because you're just trying to find your people.
You have to, and you keep those friendships obviously that you've developed prior,
Yeah, for sure.
and you also need to expand and interact with someone who sees what you're going through and can
Totally.
really understand. And it's so important. Couple date, mom date, like put yourself out there. I cannot
Hmm.
recommend it enough.
Yeah, and like all your kids are crying, and you're like, no one's bleeding, and and you're kind of like learn to zone them out at some point, but you're all having fun. No one's bleeding. We're good, and it's just yeah, you're all in it together.
When they're learning from each other, especially when there's slight age differences and it's a
Hmm.
group, like the bigs are learning from the littles and vice
Yeah.
versa. And it's really cool to watch them come alive, like in community.
Yeah. Oh yeah, it's fun. It's fun, and they always do. They just keep us young because they always do say silly things or do funny things. Yeah, they're hysterical. All right, do you have a mom fail story you could share with us, or
So many.
something? I know I'm like I could write 50 books on this.
I mean, I'll give you my most recent. We were in Europe, and we've got to pack and play, and of course I could travel with a monitor, and I'm like
Hmm.
writing, and Rose is napping, and I like see her start to stir, and I'm like, I'm like, really, just let me just get to the end of this. Like I'm in the thought, I'm in a flow, and she's happy when she wakes up, so like I know I've got a few minutes.
Yeah.
So I'm writing, and I'm like watching the monitor, and she's okay. And then all of a sudden I look over and I'm like, what is that? Like, what is that in the crib?
Uh oh.
Within 30 seconds, she has removed the diaper, pottied and pooped all over,
Oh,
everywhere,
fun.
and spread it everywhere. I was like, I took 3 minutes for
Yeah.
me
To
to
finish my
finish a thought.
thought. Oh gosh.
So that was a fun cleanup. But even that just brings with it so many laughs. And like
It
I would have
does.
reacted very, very differently 5 years ago
Hmm.
than I did on that day. So, little kid, little fail, but I have no doubt they will only get bigger and
Yeah.
more fun and
But she got a
exciting.
good laugh out of it. Yeah, that's
I did.
hysterical. You're like, oh, she's good. It's amazing how quickly things derail in 30 seconds to 3 minutes. You're like, okay.
That was a super fun one.
Oh my gosh, I love that. All right. Well, thank you so much for coming on today. Can you share where our listeners can find out more about you and how we can support you?
Absolutely. So my website, katherinerosewaller.com. You can sign up for the newsletter. I love to send musings and updates on events and podcasts and just future writing and conversations out through that. There's also a guide, and I will give you the link for the show notes around if you're having a big decision that you're thinking about or leaning into. It's a guide of kind of three reflection questions that I use in those moments and that I've built kind of over time. So you can sign up for that. And then, yeah, the book, Calling It Off, Memoir of an Almost Bride by Landon Howe Press is on Amazon. It's online ordering through any of your local indies. And then you can find me at Instagram at Katherine Woller. And that is the only social media that I use. But I love to connect with folks. If you've read the book or not, and are just going through something, I'd love to hear your stories and just be able to have a conversation.
Awesome. Well, everyone go follow her, get her book. I will put all the show notes and the link to that, the freebie. Thank you. That's amazing.
Mhm.
Cause I think we all could use that. But I will put those in the show notes for sure. So thank you so much again for coming on. Everyone remember, no BS, just real vibes. Thank you for tuning in and we'll see you next time. If you loved the episode, share it on Instagram and tag me so I can say thank you and meet you. Or share it with a girlfriend who you know would love this too. Always remember, no BS, just real vibes. See you next time on Lip Service and Lashes.